Hey, here with Princeton coach Keith Taylor. First of all, Keith, your first year. I know you've been an assistant here. How's it look? How's it different being in the head chair?
Not much different. I mean, administrative type stuff, having to deal with that is a little different. But we pretty much kept almost all staff except for Coach Marion, who's now at Oak Hill. He's a big loss to our staff, but we're all pretty much the same staff, just not with Coach Pettigo.
Two of the assistants from last year now head coach of their own program. Of course, Devon's from up there, Mount Hope,
right.
And everything. I guess that'll be a fun game when you play those guys.
Oh yeah, it'll be fun for everybody. And it's good to see him taking over at a place that he had so much success at, because I think he's going to do a really good job there.
Is this something you had worked for? Did you always want to be a head coach? Was that your goal? I mean,
just to be completely honest with you, I was almost on my way out of coaching. Before this opportunity, I pretty much was going to, ride into the, off into the sunset with these guys that I've been coaching since they were in 6th grade, Eli and Dom and those guys. I was the middle school coach there at Princeton Middle when they were coming through. And I was pretty much, working on my admin. I just, graduated in December with my master's, and I was ready to, head out the door and not coach anymore. And then Coach Pettigo and I did some talking last year, and he said, if I were to step down, I think you would, if you applied for the job, it would be really good. And at first I was like, no way. I live in Christiansburg. I didn't want to commute, but God had other plans for me.
Did that change? I mean, did everything change?
Yeah, I prayed about it, and I went to my wife and asked her, because you got to make sure the wife's happy with all the time you're going to be spending and that kind of thing. But it was just God's way of telling me this is where I'm supposed to be. So.
What would you have done if you hadn't been coaching? I mean,
I think I would have just spent more time at home, and just kind of stayed more at home, and just kind of look for something else to spend my time with, because I love being here. Princeton has always been my home. Even though I don't live here, I bleed blue. So I would have helped out some way. I just didn't know if it was going to be on the football field. But now that I know that this is where God's led me, we're hitting the ground running.
Did you play here? I mean,
I did.
This has always been.
Yes, sir. I played. I graduated in 07. I played with our offense coordinator. He was our quarterback, Chris Belcher. So I've been a Princeton guy ever since I was a little itty bitty boy.
Sometimes when you're leaving coaching, you do it for family concerns, different concerns. It doesn't sound like you were burnt out on the sport. Did this reinvigorate your love of the game?
Yeah, I don't know if I've always loved it because I love the kids, right? But people don't understand what us coaches do. I think people they think it's on Friday nights and that kind of stuff, but it's an all-year grind when it comes to football. And I'm not saying, I coach girls basketball too, and I'm not saying that every sport's not all year round now, but there's just so much stuff that you do with football that you don't do in other sports. 7-on-7s, you do weightlifting as soon as the season's over. Our guys had, a couple weeks off, and then we were right back in the weight room getting after it the second week of January.
What are your, how will things be different? Every coach has got his own deal, the way he wants things to run. What will be different about this year's Princeton team? I mean, obviously you lose several really good seniors. Two of them were in the North-South game. One of them's getting ready to go to WVU.
It's gonna be hard to replace those guys just because they have been such integral parts of our football team since they were sophomores. We weren't the greatest team when they were sophomores, so we started a lot of young guys. So having that experience will be a little different. But I'm going to tell you, the difference I think in this team is that they understand what it takes to be good, and they understand that it's not about what you do on Friday nights, but it's about what you do here in the weight room. It's about what you do, out here at conditioning. It's 80-something degrees, and our guys, we literally were out here conditioning for about an hour and a half.
What will you do differently, X's and O's wise?
X's and O's wise, you're going to see a similar offense. We're staying same terminology, but we're catering to our quarterbacks now. We got a couple quarterbacks that we think can be really good football players. They have a different skill set than our last quarterback. I think you're going to see more of a quarterback run type offense. You're going to see some more RPOs, traditional RPOs, instead of just tagging it an RPO when we never really did run it. You're going to see the offense really take off to what it was designed to do.
And defensively?
Defensively, we're going to change.
Devon was the defense.
He was the defense coordinator. We're going to change it up. We hired a new defense coordinator, Eric McClanahan. He has been coaching with us for the last 7 or 8 years. I think he's ready to take over more of a defense. He's been our defense coordinator at the JV level for the last, I'd say, 5 years. He's going to take over. We're going to be of a mixture between a 3-3 stack team and a 4-2-5 team.
Hey, you have expectations for this group?
Yeah,
your first group?
I do. I think we are going to be a really good football team. I know a lot of people think, us losing, big time players.
Cochran being
right.
one.
Grant, Mason,
Brody, right.
Mason, Rhodey, all these guys, that we have to replace. But our guys are hungry for success, and they've seen some success, right? Here at Princeton, we haven't traditionally been, a big time football team. Like there's just some years that we get on the radar and we're good to go. But traditionally, we're usually a 5-5, 6-4 football team. But these guys understand what it takes to be successful, and their work ethic, and they come in every day and they want to be here, to the point where I gave them a week off and they wanted to come back in here that week that I gave them off.
Is there any reason why Princeton can't be a player in the postseason?
I don't think so, right? I mean, all coaches are going to have faith that their team is going to reach the goals that they set before them. But with us, I just want our kids to understand the opportunity that's before them, right? When I was in high school, I took things for granted, and we see a lot of these kids, all they're focused on is the next level. And I think our guys have bought into that. Our saying this year is team is greater than me. And I think we're going to see a football team that goes out there and plays for one another. Not that they haven't in the past, but that's really my main focus, is getting these guys to buy into something that's bigger than them.
I always like to have fun with the coaches a little bit. Are you a big Leonard Skinner fan? Because you look like you could have played in Leonard.
Yeah. Well, see, I started growing this thing out, during COVID, and I said,
Right.
I'm just not going to cut my hair, or I'm not going to cut my beard, or do anything like that until I don't have to wear a mask. And then all of a sudden we weren't wearing masks anymore, and now I just keep it because it drives people crazy.
Well, you're probably a little young, but you kind of look like you could have played for Skinner.
Well, I appreciate it. My musical talents are not real good, so I might have done some listening, just no participating in the band.
Hey, Coach, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.